Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It is Tuesday, September 1st. That means one more week where Daniel and I are a day late. This is becoming a trend with us, Daniel. I don't like it.
I know it's not so good, man. Comcast really dropped the ball on me yesterday, so we can blame them. Please forward all your angry tweets and messages to Comcast.
I feel like the 10 people that watch this know that Comcast is a piece of shit, so they'll forgive us one time.
True.
Just once.
Okay, this is my get out of jail free card. Then I'm gonna go ahead and use that because it was totally my fault last night. It was just my feed was just terrible,
Just plain terrible. Terrible.
terrible.
So another Monday Night Raw in the books. We're 1 week ends. So let's get an overall picture here first, because let's just jump straight into it. Let's not, dilly dally. Uh, what'd you think of the overall show, Daniel?
I thought the overall show wasn't necessarily disappointing. It wasn't as good as last week's, but it was to be expected. And I feel like all the cool things they did last week, they kind of extended in this show. Um, I'm not really down with the whole Ziggler Rusev angle. They're trying to beef that up because they know that they've lost a lot of steam into it. So it's kind of coming across like they're shoving it down people's throat. And it's sad because I like both those guys, but we'll get to that. Overall, I felt like the show was decent. I'd say C to C plus at best.
See, I'm actually going to give it lower than that. I'm actually going to give it a C minus and borderline D. Um, and just to touch on last week, because we'll draw attention to the fact that we missed last week, because while he had Comcast issues this week, I had satellite issues last week. I didn't even get to watch Raw. Like, my USA network was gone. Couldn't get a damn thing. I had to watch the Dudleys come back and Sting show up via WWE's Facebook page. That's how terrible it was. So
Wow.
yeah. So yeah. Yeah. So I played catch up this week, unfortunately. But let me just say that everyone is marking out about how good last week's Raw was. Uh, for me, last week's Raw was average, but boosted up to very slightly above average because of the Dudleys and Sting. Other than those two, well, and Brock F5ing Bo Dallas. So other than those three things, it was still just a mediocre Raw. And everybody's like, "Oh, but it was so good, so good, so." I'm like, no, it's still a continuation of SummerSlam. And if SummerSlam is supposed to be like WrestleMania, there needs to be an end. You need to be a reset. Monday night last week should have been a reset going into the next 6 months heading until WrestleMania. But it didn't happen. So I had a bad taste in my mouth for last week's Raw. Sting and the Dudleys kind of eased the saltiness, but I didn't 100 like I didn't 180 like everybody else did apparently in the course of 24 hours. And that's what got me the most. I was like, has everybody forgotten how salty we were after SummerSlam? Like, it's only been
Yeah.
24 hours, you know?
Yeah. No, I mean they did make big like honestly, I wish we would have done a show last week because I really felt like last week's Raw was better than SummerSlam itself. I feel like those shows could have almost been flipped and it would have been even better. But that's just me. Outside of the Brock temper tantrum and all that, I feel like obviously the match would have been there instead. But yeah, I mean, overall the show, I mean, to me it felt like a continuation, but to me they did kind of try to kickstart it. To me, the Raw after SummerSlam really did. I mean, Sting's here now, the Dudleys are here now, and two huge title pictures. That's kind of, I mean, that's a restart, dude. I mean, it's I mean, we feel like it's not just because they let so many things roll over from SummerSlam, but they're all B card stuff. I mean, most of the stuff rolling over from SummerSlam is Ziggler, the Ryback situation, and the Divas situation, but everything else is kind of new. I mean, I know Cena and Rollins are going to redo their thing, but dude, honestly, Rollins working twice at a pay-per-view sounds awesome to me. So,
Yeah, I mean, that doesn't hurt things at all, you know?
right.
So what'd you think about Sting opening this show, man? For me personally, when I watched the promo, I sat back and I was like, okay, now I know why, Sting is Sting, and he's still, he's still Sting. He hasn't really lost it. I wish they would have just let him kind of go a little crazier, like how Sting used to go crazy in WCW and kind of how he did in TNA. But he seemed really kind of guarded, I guess, and I guess that's because he's in WWE. But I still like the promo. I still like the
Yeah, I
opening
thought the
segment.
promo was good. I thought he delivered on that. I mean, And dude, to all the marks that keep saying that Sting is, can't work anymore, and that's why his match at Mania was terrible. His
They're full of shit.
match at Mania was terrible was because of like the 67 run-ins they had in that match. Sure, it was cool and nostalgic, and that's why people overlook it. But they're all like, "Oh, the nostalgia finish was better than the match itself," which is absolute garbage. If you just watch like that match before anyone runs in, it's a pretty solid, like late 90s, old school professional wrestling match, and I enjoyed it thoroughly. And, it's like to all those IWC guys that say Sting can't work, dude, they would not have given him a main event match, which it looks like is going to be his last match ever, which is kind of weird. But they're not going to give him a main event match like that if they don't think he can hang. You know what I mean? I'm excited about it. I thought the promo was great. I mean, to me, Sting is almost exactly like the Undertaker in the fact that after the Brock Lesnar match, no one thought he was going to work a good match with Wyatt, and then he did. So maybe even if you do think Sting had a bad match at Mania, I guarantee his match with Rollins is going to be a lot better for sure.
Absolutely. I mean, first off, Sting can work. And I mean, for everyone who says Sting had a bad match at Mania, 90% of those people are people who cry for the Attitude Era again or the 90s. Like they want the 90s era of wrestling back. And yet they're going to cry that Sting is wrestling a match at Mania like that. I mean, come on, pick your poison. But of course,
Yeah.
I mean, everybody's like that. It's not. I mean, we get like that sometimes too.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we totally do, man. We're totally guilty of it. I just feel like we're a little bit not. It's weird. It's like we are part of the IWC. I feel like on most of the things, like as far as the undercard guys that we love, that we want to see pushed. But at the same time, too, I feel like you and I honestly do have a better read on more than what I even see on dirt sheets. I mean, a lot of times we'll look. Well, I know we both read dirt sheets, and then we'll get on here, we'll do this show, and either me or you will end up predicting something that no one on the dirt sheets, said would happen, and it does happen. So I don't know. I think they're just way off on this thing, man. I think he has a lot to offer, and people say he didn't have any good matches in TNA, and that's absolute garbage talk. He had some great matches in TNA. I mean, even on his way out, he had some. He had some clunkers in there too. Of course, some duds. But I mean, he had at least a couple handfuls of really good matches in like the 6 or 7 years he was there. If not long, I think it might have been more like 8 or 9 years.
He was in TNA a long time. I'm pretty sure, like 2004, 2005 is the first time like I've got TNA stuff on him, whether it's on YouTube or on my hard drive. So he was there a long time, and I mean everybody has clunkers, but aside from Sting's speculation at Night of Champions, whether he'll do good or not, after the Sting promo, we had Dolph Ziggler versus Rusev, and it opened the night for matches. I like I like the work. I like the work. I just didn't like the gimmick ending. I feel like I've seen this match a million times, even though I haven't. You know what I mean? Because of how drawn out this angle got.
Yeah.
I feel like I've watched this more than I actually have.
Yeah.
And don't put these guys in the ring against each other, one-on-one, with another false finish, a week after a pay-per-view where they had a false finish. Do a run-in, do like a jump before the match or something like that. Like get some heat on Rusev or something like that. Don't put the heat.
To me, this would be easy booking because it's like you have guys like Neville who just came off that Stephen Amell thing. He's obviously not going to do anything more with that. Like, why don't you have a babyface match? Why don't you have a Ziggler Neville match? Have either Neville or Ziggler go over and have them shake hands. They both did a great job because they'd put down a barn burner. And then even on SmackDown in the next week's Raw, you can just have Rusev, just beat the crap out of his friend. It doesn't always have to be Lana and Summer Rae. It doesn't always have to be them. Like, I get that you're wanting to put them over, and I get that Lana is just as over as, or was at least when they first started this angle, just as over as either Rusev or Ziggler, honestly. But now it's kind of like, I mean, God, it feels like they know that they've lost steam in the angle, so they're just dumping. I mean, there were like 4 or 5 segments for this angle tonight, or
yeah,
last night.
Let's get into those, because the match aside, which I don't like the end of the match.
I gave the match a B, by the way. The match itself was a decent match, but I gave the angle an F.
Yeah, agreed. I love the match. The match is great work. These two guys can work. That's not the problem. The problem isn't that they can't work. The problem is that this feels like it's been going on a lot longer than it has.
Right.
And it feels like I've seen this a million more times than I actually have.
Yeah.
But let's get to the weird ass segments, and we'll just knock them all out in one, just to where I don't have to keep bringing it up, because I'm pretty aggravated at this. they've done this weird angle where Summer Rae sneaks into Dolph Ziggler's locker room while he's taking a shower. She runs out of the locker room and Ziggler's like in just a towel. And then they do this whole like teasing a breakup thing with Ziggler and Lana. And I'm like, okay, I understand that you're trying to further an angle, but I don't want to see an angle between like I don't want to see baby mama drama. I want wrestling. If you're gonna put more heat on Rusev and Ziggler. Don't put more heat on Summer and Lana
Right.
after you just had them cause the interference in the match. Like
Right.
they got their heat. Save some heat for Rusev and Ziggler. Like give me something there. Like during the interview with Ziggler, Rusev could have attacked him. That'd have been great. Lana was already gone. Rusev attacks him, and that's it. It's done. That's it. There you go. They got their heat. They're done. But
Yeah.
instead, they did this whole like five little 2-minute segments throughout 3 hours of Raw that just made me groan every time I saw it. I was just
Yeah.
like, oh my god.
I agree.
Yeah, it's just I was beyond frustrated with it, man. Beyond.
Yeah, and it all came off just so creepy too, dude. And to be
Didn't
honest,
it?
man, like I don't understand why people think Summer Rae is attractive. Like, dude, to me, she is like not attractive. I'm trying to be as PC as possible. I mean, she's just nothing about her above her neck is remotely appealing to me. Nothing in this area is remotely even appealing to me. Maybe I'm just the only one, but it feels like they're rushing this and they're putting so much into it because they want to just go ahead and put Lana back with Rusev and building it back up. That's what it feels like to me, and I hope that Ziggler gets the rub out of this. And if they play it right, they can probably save this angle, but it's going to take a lot of work. I'm kind of thinking they're going to pull the plug on the two of the girls actually getting in the ring and wrestling. I'm really thinking they're leaning towards that, and they're just going to lean into a Lana kind of swerving Ziggler and costing Ziggler the match, and then Ziggler getting a triumphant win at the end of the program. But who knows? To me, that's how I would book it. But again,
Yeah, but the problem with that is that I'll have to see it for another month after Night of Champions.
Yeah,
And
but the match, that's what I'm saying. If we give us an actual finish that's not stupid and poorly booked, then I wouldn't mind. I mean, all we've had so far is a count out. I mean, we had Ziggler gone for like a month doing a movie. Then we got a count out at a SummerSlam. Shame on you, creative, for that. A count out at SummerSlam. And then we had the girls call the disqualification on Monday. So still, there's not even been one actual match, really, that's ended,
Right. Well, and I guess my biggest gripe about that is that Survivor Series is after Night of Champions, right? No, I'm missing one. I'm missing one.
There
No, I'm not. No,
might.
I'm not.
Oh, yeah.
No, I'm not.
Yeah.
Night of
Yeah.
Champion and then Survivor Series because last year Cena lost to Lesnar at SummerSlam, lost to Lesnar because of Seth Rollins. Nope. Hell in a Cell is after Night of Champions.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
there has to
okay.
be too. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, okay, because Survivor Series is in November. So
Yeah.
mark blank space. Just ignore us, guys.
It's all good.
So like I guess I'd be okay with because it's a year since Ziggler did the whole like Team Cena thing. I don't want
Right.
him to be working an angle with Rusev at Survivor Series. Like I want him to do something relevant. But
Yeah, that's not gonna happen. I mean, and to be honest though, like, if they give him a Hell in a Cell match, that would actually be kind of awesome. And if they plan on
That'd be
building
kinda
that kind of angle there, Ziggler Rusev in a cell would probably be pretty brutal and pretty awesome. I can only imagine the selling that Ziggler could do for Rusev and how big of a monster Rusev would look after that match. But to me, you have to put over Rusev in that match. So to me, you got to put over clean Dolph Ziggler at Night of Champions. But that's just my 2 cents in on that one. Yeah, I mean, and then after that, we did the beat the clock challenge thing, right? That's when that whole thing started.
Yep.
Dude, and that whole thing, like, how do you expect to have good in-ring content from a beat the clock challenge? I hate the idea. I hate it because you limit the workers no matter what, unless the first match goes for like 8 or 9 minutes, which that's fine. Then you can at least get down to where like the winner had a 5-minute match. You know what I mean? Like, which is a little bit better than what was it, 1:10 is what we got down to or something like that?
40. is
That's
Charlotte.
ridiculous, man.
Yeah.
That's unacceptable to me. I mean, that means the intros were longer than the match. That's just not okay. That's just not okay.
No, I mean, here's my problem, with Becky Lynch versus Alicia Fox. I can understand that match being fast because I wouldn't put Alicia Fox in a 10, 20-minute match. You know what I mean? Like I wouldn't put her in a big match.
Dude, they think
Um,
that she can work, man. I don't know what it is, but they think that she's really good. That's why they put her in that. I mean, they think of her as like the Cesaro of the divas, man. I mean that honestly. That they think that she's really good. Our buddy Johnny Angel that we had on from the Hollywood Kills, he's a huge mark for Alicia Fox. I think she's terrible. I think she's a terrible worker, but that's just my opinion.
I don't know, man. I guess because in the last few years I haven't seen enough of her with time. Because I'll be honest, I completely forgot about her Divas title reign. Completely forgot about it, just because it was that forgettable.
Yeah,
Um, you know, I like that Becky. I'm glad that Becky got a win, and I'm glad it was fast because it shows some type of like dominance of the NXT women. I get that, but I'm also torn because I want the Divas to have more time to put on some good matches. Does that make sense? Like I
no,
like
yeah.
that. I like that they look strong. I don't like that they don't have time. And it's like in a beat the clock, you can't have both. And I agree. I just don't like the beat the clock challenge idea. I would have rathered like had all three members of Team PCB be in a triple threat match and just let them work each other. But they have to keep this whole like unity stable thing going. That's probably why they did beat the clock.
I feel like it would have been better if they would have did it in a tournament situation instead of beat the clock. Because if that was the case, then right now everyone that would have gone over would have been PCB every time. So that would have led us to a triple threat match for next week, and then the week after is not a champions if I believe correctly. I think we only have one more week of Raw, maybe two more,
Two, I believe. Two because
maybe.
we're two out of SummerSlam, so we got two more
Yeah, but
going
I think this
into.
is a short one. I think it's only 4 weeks from SummerSlam, and this is the second week. Okay, yeah, so we do have two more. You're right. You're right.
Yeah, so two. Come on, man. Basic math here. Come on, stay with me. I honestly, for as short as it was, I still gave Becky Lynch and Elisa Fox a C, like a solid C,
Yeah, I gave that match a C. That match, but that was the highest rated Divas match on the show because of
because of
time.
time. Yeah, because of time. Um, then we had a Ryback promo, which of course flowed into Summer Rae, um, with the whole running thing, whatever. Um, what'd you think about that Ryback promo? Yeah, what'd you think?
Dude, that guy is like a knuckle dragging mouth breather, man. Like he is like so hunchbackish. Like it's he uh, nothing. It failed this entire segment. Everything about that was creepy, super creepy. Um,
Do you do you know do you
we
know
obviously now know that Ziggler Tan's naked, which is more than I really want to know. I love the guy's work, but I don't care about his ass cheeks. So
do do you do you know what happens when you give Ryback an F?
what?
It doesn't keep the big guy down. I gave it an F too.
Yeah, it's terrible. It's garbage. It
Yeah.
was terrible. And then the match itself, dude. All right, my main note here was that like, okay, first of all, there were a few things. Like, I feel like this was a clunker so bad that like I almost feel like I could trade this match in for a hybrid car from the government. Like it was that big of a clunky mess. Like I think that Big Show should never do a DDT ever. He's got like tree trunk arms and it looks so bad. Like you can tell that the guy's head it comes like a foot away from the mat. Totally. It's like ridiculous. Dude, I literally wrote here that I had better matches at 17 years old in my friend's backyard than I just watched on Raw. And that's a fact, dude. I honest to God believe that. Like, it was just terrible. Ryback retained, of course. And you're just I mean, I know your whole goal is to keep this Neanderthal looking really strong, but it's like if the only guys he's going to work are Big Show and Miz, and he keeps beating him, then how do you expect people to invest in a Night of Champions match? I don't know. I thought the whole thing was terrible.
I agree. I believe it was god awful. And the sad part is that like commentary was so busy burying Miz that even Miz didn't save it from a commentary standpoint.
Yeah.
It was just bad. F all the way around. Um, and I'll give this one an F too. And I can't believe I'm giving this woman an F. Charlotte versus Brie Bella was an F in my book.
F, total F, dude. I failed it too.
And it's not even her fault. Not even her fault. The Brie running away thing, even though that makes sense as a heel, I hated it because it's a beat the clock challenge. Like, I mean, I understand why. I hated it. I hated that Charlotte won with like 2 moves. Hated it. And yeah, a minute and 40 seconds for a Divas match. Hated it.
Yeah, terrible.
Hated it. Um, Dudley Boy's promo though, gave it an A. Gave
Yeah,
it an
good
A.
stuff. Good stuff. I dig it. It made sense too. It was good psychology saying, they have 9, they want to have 10. I feel like what they're going to do is they're going to probably put New Day over the first time, maybe win it at Survivor Series because it's a Spike show and the Dudleys have a little bit more of a name. And then I think that they will lose the rubber match. And then I feel like they are going to go down to NXT and work some tag teams there. I know they're on a full-time thing, but I really think they're going to put them on the NXT brand, and that'll be awesome. Blake and Murphy versus the Dudleys will be amazing. Enzo and Cass versus the Dudley Boys will be amazing. The Vaudevillains versus the Dudley Boys will be really
I was
good.
gonna say, can we talk about the Vaudevillains versus the Dudleys for a second here?
That's going to be amazing. It's going to be really good.
Yeah,
Especially with
with
blue pants.
pants. I
Yeah.
was like with blue pants, by the way. So that'll be good. And then we had Cesaro versus Owens. Do you see what I mean though by like continuation of everything? Everything so
Yeah.
far has been a continuation with the exception of a Sting promo. I I'm
Yeah, all their undercard stuff, all of it. I mean, I get that, I understand that, but at the same time too, I feel like I said, the Raw to me at least, like we can't just sit and constantly bench about SummerSlam because the Raw after was a lot better. You know what I mean? And it's not like we paid $60 for a pay-per-view. I'm using the IWC excuses. I mean, there's no excuse for how bad SummerSlam was. I'm not saying that at all. It was terrible, and I agree with everything you're saying. But I do feel like Raw made me more excited. Last week's Raw, and then leading up to this one, I didn't have a problem with the continuation because of, to me, there was almost a restart button at least with those angles from the Raw after SummerSlam, and not just a lingering concept. Like, I mean, if you notice, like even especially in the Ziggler Rusev angle, which is a prime example, even though we didn't like what they did with it, I mean, it is clear that they're pouring way more attention into this angle now than they were before SummerSlam. So I'm happy that 2 of my, personal favorite workers are getting more TV time. I like that. I just don't think they're doing it the proper way. But that's Mark nitpicking.
right.
Yeah.
And that's all I'm doing is Mark nitpicking. So
I thought the match was
guilty.
great though, and I felt like I've been watching a lot of retro Raws lately. Me and Steven from Pro Wrestling Cast, we talk all the time about '97 WWF. Because I'm watching it like straight through, like every Raw, then every pay-per-view, then whatever. So it's really fun for me. And I really felt like Owens and Cesaro, this match or a match that they have should be at like the Hammerstein Ballroom that they had the first 2 years of Raw. Like if you can imagine their entrances there and like the crowd reaction of that style, which is essentially the NXT style crowd. But I just felt like, I don't know, I feel like they should turn down some of the house lights. I mean, I know they can't for TV because they're like really pop production with polish. And they want to show you they had the sea of people. I get that, but at the same time, I feel like some of these matches, I'm not saying like noticeably, I'm saying like subliminally kind of bring them down a little bit. You know what I mean? Just kind of give it a little bit more of that indie feel. I know it's bad to say, but right now indie is mainstream, even in music. You know what I mean? So like, I think it's a good idea for them to just kind of capitalize on this, which is another reason why NXT is getting huge. But I thought the match got a B overall, man, for me.
Yeah, their match was good. Like they had a great match. I was surprised that Owens went over fairly clean on Raw so short, like so soon after SummerSlam. I mean, are they gonna do? Do you think they're gonna do a rubber match at Night of Champions, like, and have Cesaro get the one win at the end? Like, and if they do that, what are they gonna do with Owens?
Put him back
Like,
in NXT.
see,
I think he's
I don't.
getting the belt back, man. I think they don't really know. They don't have a big enough heel to go straight in with Finn Balor yet. They have to keep using him, and I think he's going to win the belt and maybe drop it back to Finn, or maybe not. Honestly, like I know they're really high on Finn, and I know that his character is really over, but he's kind of one of those guys where like the belt almost hurts him. It's almost like his feuds, because of the whole demon gimmick, need to be personal and not about a title. And I didn't feel any like real personal thing with the Owens feud yet, at least. I feel like it's all just kind of about the NXT belt, and that doesn't really work for Finn Balor, I don't think. I mean, I can see Finn Balor being, the kind of guy where he doesn't really need a title. I mean, he's kind of like Shawn Michaels post 2002. I think he won the belt one time and then he retired like 7 or 8 years after that. I don't think he won another title at all after that. Not one, I don't think. Maybe the tag titles once with John Cena, I think. But
And then with DX.
oh yeah. But you know what I mean. I'm talking about as Shawn Michaels. He didn't win any other HBK titles, and I think that that's kind of what Finn Balor will be. Not that he wrestles like Shawn Michaels or that he's anywhere near that level, but I don't think I think that the belt kind of hurts him, honestly.
And see, I don't know. I mean, I think you just need to find a heel that's going to make it personal and about the title. And I guess Owens can be that guy, but I think you could. I don't know. We'll get into NXT later, but like you could almost like if you turn Joe heel or like if you keep building Baron Corbin the way you are, I think both of those guys could really pull it out of him. I don't know. We'll see. I
Joe
mean,
can't be heel right now. Joe can't be
Corbin.
heel.
Well, Corbin makes a lot of sense because of his whole like anti like
Right.
anti respect for the guys who
Right,
have
and I get
worked.
that, but that means you have one heel. I mean, you have Tyler
Right?
Breeze
No, I
too, but
get
he's
it.
already wrapped
I
up in
get it.
his own thing. Like, what other real heels do you have? I mean, we have tag teams that are heels, but we don't have any like other sustainable heels. They're trying to make it work with Rhino, but he's still over. And with the nostalgia act, it's always hard to make him heels. I think the Dudleys could do it because they're that good. I think they could totally be a heel tag team in NXT. I think if you just let Bubba kind of get a little bit explicit I mean, I'm not saying like, you know
Right. You just let him. You
F
just let
bombs
him
or
get a
whatever.
little.
But I'm saying if you let him get as edgy as he was in the early ECW, where he just gets out there and rips the crowd, and his whole promo is just ripping the crowd, not even as their opponent. And then he could just say, hey, we're the 10-time tag team champions. There's no one here that's better than us. We're just gonna come here and squash you. Like they can do the whole back in my day thing. But again, that's the whole NXT fantasy booking. Moving on.
Well, let's go with some FCW NXT alums here. Ambrose versus Braun, dude. Like, how good was that? Like, this is my first time seeing this guy actually live. Holy crap. This guy is huge.
Yeah.
Like,
He's
huge.
green. He's a little green. I felt like Ambrose did a good job in this match, like kind of ring generaling him. There was a couple times where I could tell he was trying to get him to slow down. Because I mean, and you can't blame Braun. I mean, this dude is super over right off the bat, and I mean, it's his first real match on Raw ever.
And
It's
the
not like
lights
he's ever
are
been
on him.
repackaged or anything. So like, he's just. I mean, he was getting in it, but I mean, the match was good. I don't think it was great, and I almost felt like it would have been smarter to just have a short match and have Braun because it's only his very first one, just destroy Ambrose. I mean, that to me is the only way you're really going to get wild card underdog kind of heat or sympathy for Dean Ambrose, because right now it's like this whole lunatic badass babyface thing is hurting him too. I think they really need to kind of pull that sympathy card with him because I think he can sell enough to make it work. But it was okay for what it was. It wasn't a bad match. It's just I would have done it differently again.
I, with Ambrose, I don't mind Ambrose being the crazy gimmick. I don't mind that. One thing that I do mind is the whole God damn it, cat, why are you meowing? Anyway, I don't like Reigns, man. Like Reigns with Ambrose is the real deterrent, I think, because I've noticed I listened to Stone Cold's review of SummerSlam, and I noticed one thing, like him and I think he was with Wade. I think he was talking with Wade Keller. They mentioned something. Ambrose by himself, perfectly fine. He gets cheered. Ambrose with Roman Reigns, perfectly fine. Ambrose gets cheered. Roman Reigns with Ambrose, kinda gets cheered. Roman Reigns by himself, no shot, no shot. Like
I mean,
I don't.
he was getting, dude. Honestly, before they did this though, like he was finally starting to get some steam. I think people were finally starting to get behind him, and I feel like I agree with you 100% as far as the Ambrose Reigns thing just being not working, because it's like they're using that whole Shield callback thing to kind of milk it, but really it's only going to devalue when the eventual reunion happens in a couple
It
years or a
is,
year or whatever.
and it's hurting them.
Yeah.
It's hurting the two
It's
of
not a
them
good idea,
now.
man. In all honesty, man, they really could use some good heels right now, and I really feel like one of those dudes needs to turn. And it really doesn't matter either or. Like, I mean, Ambrose would be a great heel. I think Reigns would be super over as a heel right now if he switched. Because the stories that I've been hearing is that they're really starting to lose faith in Sheamus, and there's a really good possibility that he's going to lose the Money in the Bank. So I think that they're going to start pushing Roman Reigns as a heel. I hope they do, because he could totally take over that power, almost be that Baron Corbin-ish kind of guy like we were talking about earlier. But yeah, man, I mean, back to the Braun Strowman Ambrose match. So I gave the match a B minus, but I thought it could have been a B plus. I just felt like it almost should have been a squash. But that's just me.
Yep, I gave it a B. There were some noticeable spots where Braun was really just kind of stumbling around, like he took a missed sell, or he just missed a cue or something. But and I hate to use this crutch, because I've learned to hate the cliche of he's a good wrestler for a big man. You know what I mean? I've grown to not be a fan of that cliche anymore. And but for a big man who's green, I mean, I'll let him get away with one. I've let Baron Corbin get away with a few. So,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean, I can let this guy get away, because this guy is like legitimately strong. You know what I mean? Like there's football players strong, and there's this guy who could probably out bench press Mark Henry, like kind of strong.
yeah,
I mean, this guy is strong. um, Roman Reigns wishes he was this guy's kind of strong. Okay, Vince wishes Reigns was this strong. So that was good. I agree with the B. Uh, Sasha versus Paige was next, and they just ended the. Do they always like just end the match when the timer runs out? I
yeah.
seem to recall matches finishing like
No,
in the
not
past.
not not when it's the last one in the series.
Okay. And I get non-finishes just annoy me. Like that's one thing that annoyed me. Like, and maybe it's because it was Paige and Sasha. Like,
Which
there's a
would have been
non.
a stellar match. Yeah,
Right. Like, I got three Divas matches that combined was less time than a Divas match pre-Diva Revolution.
yeah, yeah. That's what I'm saying, man. Had that first match gone, the Becky Lynch match, had that gone like 8 minutes, even less than 10. If you
Even
given that,
six. Even
I would
six.
have said 8, and then give it 6 on the next one. That way you can give them like 5, at the end,
Or six,
or
5, and 3. Not
yeah.
3, 1, and 1.
Well, that's the thing though. Or even, well, you'd have to do it backwards if you still want Charlotte to be the one that goes over. But honestly, man, I mean, Charlotte versus Nikki is going to be good. So we're bitching about like how they did it, but the end
Semantics.
result, the end result is good. I mean, like I'm stoked to see um, Charlotte versus Nikki. But at the same time too, and I want to address this too. A lot of people are still dogging Charlotte's promo skills, and I don't get that. Nixon's one who's still like not very big on her, and I think that her skills have drastically improved from the NXT days. I don't think she's a smooth talker by any means, but I don't think that she's the worst in the Divas division. She might be in. I mean, honestly, feel like Becky Lynch is probably the worst as far as promos, just because like her sense of humor doesn't come off well every time. When it does, it's really funny and it's great. But when she misses, it's a big whiff. Like, I mean, it's almost awkward.
It's a
So
it's a foreigner thing. Like the foreign humor sometimes either misses or hits.
yeah,
So, but you know,
but
I
yeah,
don't I
I
don't think
failed that
Charlotte's
match.
particularly
I
weak.
failed that match.
Yeah, I failed it too. But I don't think Becky or Charlotte are particularly weak in the promo department. I just think that Becky could do with making a couple better choices with injecting humor. And that's
Yeah,
just going to be that's just going to be a nationality gap. Like, I mean, that's going to happen.
yeah,
Um, so my match of the night is here, New Day versus the Dudleys. Can I just say how much I enjoyed this?
yeah. Absolutely. Go away. Go ahead.
Because I loved every second of it. From New Day coming out and cutting a promo, to the bubble wrap table, to Xavier Woods' hair. Like, I loved every
Yes,
second of that.
yes, 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 and yes.
And I mean, the Dudleys coming out, Bubba Ray yelling New Day sucks between like every spot. Like, that was kind of cool. I thought that was funny. Um, and I like that they teased the table spot, because now you're going to have people waiting for it. And
Yeah.
like you're gonna have people watch Night of Champions to get that satisfaction of that table spot. And it's probably not going to happen at Night of Champions. There's probably going to be another match, and it's not going to happen until like the end. But I'm okay with that. Like I'm okay with teasing and then keeping going. Like I'm okay with that because it gives you something to look forward to. You know,
Well,
like
I mean, and a lot of the rumors are too is that they're going to get a tag title match, or one of those matches is going to be a 6-man, and it's going to be a one-off for Spike, which will be great. A one-off for Spike would be great. It'd be a great little nostalgia drop in there. It'd be good to get him a little payoff, and it's good that it would just be a one-off and not re-signing Spike Dudley. But I think that would be awesome. You know what I mean? Spike Dudley and Xavier Woods in the ring together bouncing around would be phenomenal to me. Dude, I think Xavier Woods he's the guy out of this trio. I mean, he's going to be the guy that's the superstar to me. I mean, obviously Kofi is the wily veteran, and this is probably the most over he's ever been outside of that program that he had with Orton. But I
that
mean,
Orton program.
yeah, I mean, which was amazing. But I think Big E is good, but I think that U.S. title, Intercontinental title.
I say he's going to stay mid card,
Yeah,
but
yeah, and
I
that's
think
okay.
same.
He's going to be a Mark Henry. He might get a chance to go for a world title for the off months. The quote unquote like down season for WWE. Later on in his career and have a little run, but I don't think he's going to be a superstar guy as far as main event goes. It really did kind of bother me though that the commentary sold this as the Dudley's first match back in the WWE, and we just saw it on SmackDown, and they didn't even mention it at all, which just goes to show that you can tell that the comment they only care about Raw. I mean, SmackDown
Well,
is.
in the beginning, they said it's their first bleh, I speak English, I swear to God. It's their first match back on Monday Night Raw. They did say that during entrances, but
By
they
the end
kept
of it,
saying
though, by the end
by
of
the
the
end of it,
match,
it was first match back.
yeah.
Like they just like stopped mid sentence, and I don't know if that was something coming from the headset or just them. Like I don't, I think it was headset. I think it was like overly produced. You know,
Yeah, and I think
um,
that and honestly, that's the only like I gave this match an A minus because of commentary. The match itself would have gotten an A plus, especially with that cool like that whole save the table at the end. That was awesome. Um, yeah, so I mean, I give it an A minus just because I mean, it's like to me, it's like now it's Raw, NXT, and SmackDown. You know what I'm saying? Like SmackDown
yep.
is the number 3 show now. So which they need to fix that, man, especially if they're wanting to keep it on regular TV. I know it's moving it's moving to USA next year, but I really feel like they need to start ramping that up, man. I feel like, especially now that Lesnar or I mean Heyman's full time, it's like why not give him the reins back for SmackDown? I mean that was the best it's ever been was when he had it, and I know that control kind of went to his head a little bit, and I know he likes what he's doing. But I mean, you need to shake up the creative team. I think you need to have a whole different team just for SmackDown. I think it would make Raw better. I'm not saying have a different brand or a different roster. I'm just saying have 2 completely separate creative entities that do SmackDown and do Raw. Because honestly, with the 2-hour format, SmackDown, there's been a handful of times this year that to me SmackDown was better than Raw. And it's very rare that I watch them, but I find myself the more I watch the SmackDowns, like I mean, I fast forward through, the Raw recaps, which is a good third of the show, which is also really silly. But the rest of it, most of the time, the matches on there are really good. I mean, much better than Raw quality matches because they give them time because there's only X amount of matches on the show and it's only a 2-hour show. So I really think that they can benefit greatly from just boosting SmackDown or even just putting it on the network. I mean, that would be better. But whatever.
I think once NXT is established, they may give like Triple H had NXT as his baby. I think maybe at some point before giving him the reins on Raw, they'll give him the reins on SmackDown and
Dude,
see what he does with a 2-hour
if
show.
I'm Trips though, what I do,
Stay with
especially,
NXT and make
dude,
NXT a 2-hour show.
dude, or if I'm looking at the numbers right now, and you're already treating SmackDown like a straight up recap show with a couple matches thrown in there, what I would do is not renew SmackDown and take that spot on USA and give it to NXT. So that way next year you can benefit the rest of this year doing these takeovers and give NXT a 2-hour show on SmackDown on Thursday nights on USA and put SmackDown on the network to kind of build the smart internet mark stuff. That way you can use that whole IWC mentality that you use to make NXT huge and do that on SmackDown with main roster guys. I think that would be really smart of them. I know it's not what they're going to do because SmackDown has its own brand, and the name itself is bigger, and the network might not want NXT. I mean, I get all the factors that go into that. I'm just saying, in a perfect world, that to me would be the smartest thing they could do business wise.
Yeah, I agree. Do you think the primetime players are going to go heel? Because the commentary is really like suggesting that they're kind of being like sneaky slimy in not saying when they're going to do their rematch. They're all excited about the Dudleys, but the Dudleys are facing New Day and not them. Do you think they're going to turn the primetime players heel?
I think they're going to have to, just because
of the Dudleys.
No, I mean, I think just because by the end of the Dudley New Day feud, both teams are going to be baby faces. It's going to be like that TLC match. It's like, they go in and there's 2 heel teams and 1 babyface team, and you come out and there's 3 babyface teams. So like, I mean, that's what's. I mean, New Day is already getting over as a face team, and everyone feels it, even Vince. So it's like, go ahead and get this Dudley thing out of the way with them. And then everybody goes over. Everybody's a huge baby face. You go ahead and throw the Dudleys down there. So now New Day is this big over tag team. It's a baby face, and then you can go ahead and plug the primetime players back as heels. I know a lot of people felt lackluster about their title reign, and I did too. But I do think that they're a great tag team. I just don't think that those vignettes and trying to get them over as baby faces, it worked to an extent, but it didn't work the way they wanted it to. And I feel like Titus and Darren both are much better heels. So I think that I mean, primetime players as heels versus New Day would be way better. I'm just worried about. I don't know how clever Xavier Woods can be as a babyface manager.
I don't think he'll need to change that much because they're cheering him now already. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true, but he's still acting heel. And if they go full-fledged babyface, which they will, they're not going to leave him like stone cold babyface where they act heel but get cheered. So I don't know. We'll see. But I mean, and that was it, right? I mean, the next was like the Rollins, the
Rollins, the Cena segment. Yeah, and I have to say that as much as I like the idea of Seth working 2 matches, and I don't mind seeing Seth versus Cena again because their match was good. The last thing I got from Raw was that picture of Cena and Sting on the same stage, standing next to each other. I don't care how you feel about John Cena, like for the rest of your life. That picture is worth 1,000,000 words.
Yeah.
Like, seriously.
It'd be better on a marquee or on a banner or on a poster and having Sting and Cena work. I would love for Sting and Cena to work at Mania, even if it was a heel Sting.
That'd be cool. I can't believe I'd say that. I'm saying that'd be cool, but that'd be cool.
I mean, because it would be heel Sting, but he'd be like a baby face for the indie guys because he'd be like,
It's Hogan. It's Hogan Rock. Sting would be heel, but it's Hogan. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, it's kind of like that. Like,
well, he's not Hogan. I mean,
well, no. But I meant as in terms of crowd reaction.
And Cena's not Rock either, so I don't think it would go over like WrestleMania 18. But I see like it would be a baby junior version of that. I agree.
I don't mean on the scale because the closest thing we got to the scale of that was when we had Rock and Cena 1. Like that's the closest we got to that. And
Cena I just was heel in that match. Make no mistake about it.
Well, just like realistically, if you think about it, like Rock got the shit boot out of him against Hulk Hogan.
Oh yeah.
He got the
He also got pointed, dude. That match, honestly, like if you go back and watch it as a wrestling match, it's pretty terrible. But I mean, the feeling and the electricity inside that building is, bar none, the most significant roller coaster of emotion match that I've ever seen in my life, ever. To me, and to me, honestly, Rock and Hulk aren't really in my personal favorite top 10 as far as workers. Neither one of them. But that match, as far as like being a pro wrestling fan, like. To have that kind of work rate, which wasn't very good, and make a mark. I mean, at that point, I was working in the ring, so I was Dan Mark times 50 then. So like, but I mean, and to have me so wrapped up in the match that I forget and become a fan again, that doesn't happen, So like, I mean, I don't ever think we're gonna get another match like that. But I would like to see a Cena versus Sting match, and I think it could get close. And I think those guys would have a much better work rate, so it would make up for the fact that it wouldn't be as emotionally. Up and down.
Right, because it would be worth it in the ring.
Right.
It would make up for it.
As long as Cena doesn't try to pull that stunner out.
Oh, for the love of Christ. what'd you think about the whole Authority just giving Cena the match? Like, do you think because they're teasing the Triple H Seth Rollins thing super hard right now. It's
Yeah, I'm
happening by
worried. I'm
Survivor.
really worried that they're not going to save that for Mania and they're going to do it for
No,
something else.
they're gonna do it for Survivor Series,
I
man.
don't think so. I don't think so. I still think it's too soon. I think they might do a swerve. Um, I think they
They've
might do a
already
swerve.
swerved. They've already swerved the Authority, like being against Seth and then with him. Like, I mean, how many more times are you gonna do it? And I agree that
Easy.
it's too
It'll be
soon.
easy. It'll be easy. You just have like Kane cost one of them the match, and then you don't get your rubber match or your equalizer match till Mania. I mean, they might do something like that, and that'd be something I'd be okay with. But I mean, who's face at that point? I mean, because Rollins is so hated that even if you do this Triple H thing, like Triple H is going to be the babyface. You know what I mean? Like the Authority is going to be the baby faces
The
in that.
Authority's gonna be face, and we talked
That's
about
going
that
to
a
be kind
month
of
ago.
hard. That's going to be kind of hard to pull off after that, you know? I mean, because I know the only way you're going to do it is if you just have a babyface match at a pay-per-view and then the next night on Raw just come out and cut the heelest promos they can. And it's Triple H and Stephanie McMahon, so of course they could pull it off if they needed to. I just feel like I think that they're I don't think that they want to be a babyface faction as the Authority. And now especially with J&J gone and Kane not really being around, I think they're really starting to disband the Authority. And I think that they might
I
even
think it's a good thing.
I think if they turn Triple H and Steph babyface, then they're going to put in a new GM or a new whatever. That's got to be heel. It has to be heel, and it
Yeah,
can't be them anymore. It can't be them because honestly, after this Rollins project, you're going to make more money off of Triple H as a babyface working nostalgia matches than you will as him being a heel authority figure. My opinion.
no, I mean, and that's true. But you can do it like WWE has this mentality that you have to have an evil boss. You know what I mean?
All the
Like,
time. Yeah.
yeah, all the time. You have to have an evil boss all the time. And I, I'd
And
almost,
it's
and
weird.
I
I
know they
feel like
won't.
in 2015, like it's not like it was in the late 90s. Like I don't know a lot of people that hate their bosses anymore. I really don't. Like
That's what I'm saying. Like, it doesn't need to be that way anymore. Like, I think that you can have the Authority turn face, disband. If you want to keep some heat with Seth, have J&J Security or Kane cost Triple H the match, like turn on Triple H.
I'd rather be J&J personally, but
Right, like J&J's better because J&J is the Seth Rollins sidekicks. Like, that's the best way to go if you ask me. Um, but you could do that, and then even if you bring in another GM, you can have Steph and Hunter off of TV if you want. They don't have to
yeah.
be like the heel figures always cutting the heel 20
Yeah, that's
minute
what I'm
promos in
saying.
open
If
Raw.
you bring in another GM, that's what I think will happen. But at the same
But you could
time,
do it
too,
without them.
we could be totally wrong. They could like completely do try to make Rollins a baby face. But the only way you could do that is if Rollins like saves Ambrose and Reigns from getting the hell beat out of them by the Wyatts or something like that, which to me is way too far to left
Yeah,
field
no
to
way.
do that. It's too soon for the Shield thing too, but they could be trying to use that to boost ratings between now and Mania. Um, but you could do you could do the long swerve where you have, Rollins come out there to do whatever, to save the Shield to make it look like he cares for like a week or two, or even to the next pay-per-view, just so he can win the title back. And then as soon as he does, just go right back into being the asshole heel. It's like, oh yeah, I didn't need you guys anyway. You're fired or whatever. Like, or I'm leaving the Shield again or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like that
I
might
don't.
work, but
Yeah, but I don't think if they do the nostalgia for the Shield reunion, I don't think they're gonna blow it after 1 month. Like, I think if they do a Shield reunion, they're either gonna do literally one night only, or they're gonna do another group run. But there needs to be another group for them to run against.
yeah,
You know
there
what I
won't be
mean?
another group run. There won't be another group run ever. I
So
don't think.
I I don't think so either. Um, because I mean I think the time is gone for that. But the one night only thing would be cool for like a Survivor Series coming up or something. Not
Yeah,
this Survivor Series, but like next Survivor Series would be
yeah.
cool. But speaking of that, who is going to back up Ambrose and Reigns against the three Wyatts? Because they're even talking about maybe bringing in a fourth. Like, what do you do?
Uh, I feel like we're both going to be really let down, and I'm pretty sure that they're going to bring in a babyface Eric Rowan to be the third guy for the Shield.
No.
Yeah,
No.
Yeah, see, that's the problem, man. Everybody gets their hopes up when there's a question mark by, with main event guys on paper, and they always end up
I
fucking
mean,
it
yeah.
somehow.
I mean, I thought I had that same horrid thought too. I even thought like I would rather like Baron Corbin make a babyface appearance than have Eric Rowan be that guy. Like
Oh, if
I would
anything, it'd be like Finn Balor.
even though that makes no sense unless
Well, it's baby
oh
faces and baby faces, so.
yeah, but ooh no, I don't like that either. I was gonna say, what if you did the Balor Club? Like, but I would be okay with Ambrose, but I
Balor Club's
wouldn't be
not
okay
gonna
with
happen,
Reigns.
man. It's not gonna happen.
Nah, hold out hope. Leave me alone.
It doesn't
Leave
need
me
to happen,
alone.
man. Like, look, I know that whole Bullet Club thing got over. I know he's the one that started that. I know it's super over in Japan, and I know that like it worked well for him there. But like, I don't think he's capable of carrying something like that in the States. I just don't think he is, man. I mean, honestly, dude,
There's too
like,
much promo work
yeah,
here. There's too much promo
and dude,
work.
and he's not a good promo. He's just not. Like, I mean, I
He's
like
not
Finn Balor. I love
terrible.
his work, but honestly, to me, he's not as good as Owens. He's not as good as Zayn. He's not as good as Neville. Honestly, to me, I don't think he's as good as everyone thinks he is. I'm not saying he's not good because he is good, and I like his work. I like the matches that he's been having. I just don't think that he's. I honestly don't think he should be the champ yet. I still think he has another year's worth of development. I know he has stipulations in his contract, same that Hideo had, but Hideo's got messed up because of injury. So like I know that they're gonna like they kind of have to fast track him, and I know he is over, and I'm in the minority here, but I just don't. I'm worried that they're gonna put him to the main roster, man, and he's just gonna bomb. Like I mean, he's not gonna be able to carry the weight because in the main roster it's all talking and a match
Yeah.
here and there for 10 minutes, and it's just I don't think he can do that.
Well, and I think that's kind of why he's happy in NXT right now because of that. Like, he's already said he's happy in NXT. He just wants to be a Mania next year. So like, I'm cool with him being in NXT, and I'm sure he's cool with the NXT title for now. WrestleMania is the goal, but I mean, to what extent? I mean, you're not going to be on the top half of the card at this point. You know what I mean? They haven't put a half a year's worth of time into you on the main roster yet. Um,
Yeah, he'll be the pre-show guy. But I mean, I think that we've been talking about this too. But they're probably going to give an NXT. I think the pre-show match for WrestleMania will be NXT title at Mania. I mean, I know. Well, they'll probably do another takeover, but I think there still will be some form of NXT match at Mania. I mean, but now, especially with the way the Divas are over and the women's division is over in NXT, they might just put on the main event for the takeover before Mania as the women's match, and then wait and save the world title match for the men as the opener for Mania. Maybe even after the pre-show, maybe the actual opening of the main card. But
that'd be cool.
I think without a doubt, there's going to be a full-on NXT match at Mania, regardless of whether they do the Saturday takeover thing or not. And honestly, with Mania, because that whole access thing that they start on like Thursday and they have all those tapings, I don't think that they would do a takeover right before Mania. They might do one a month before or something like that. But I don't think they're going to do an NXT takeover at Mania the way they did one at SummerSlam. I just don't think it happens. But I could be wrong. I could be way, way wrong.
I
But
don't know because they did those NXT tapings the week before Takeover, and that's where they did the swerve because of the tapings. They had Owens with the title, and then Balor won. So I
yeah,
mean,
I got a feeling that's not a swerve though.
well, I know you have a feeling that he's going back and he's going to get the title and all that stuff. I get it, and that would even make sense because that's still probably a month from now as far as NXT goes, or at least 3 weeks.
I
So
think it's 2 weeks.
so the end of the NXT taping is oh yeah because today's Tuesday, so no. Well, after tomorrow, it's 2 weeks. Yeah. So there's three shows, tomorrow's, and then two more,
Nah, I'd
right?
say one more tomorrow and one more from Barclays. And if he had the title in Barclays, then they got to do something with him before that. Or it could be a total swerve. Who knows?
I'm gonna go with total swerve because I like Finn Balor. So, but I like Kevin Owens too, and I want him to be on the main roster. So that's why I'm hoping it's just a total swerve.
Honestly,
I hope
man, the
I
more
hope we're
time
wrong.
goes on, the more time passes, the more I just want Owens back in NXT. I just feel like it's better for him. I just feel like there's no one for him to work as that's there's no baby face they have besides John Cena that can keep him as elevated. And so it's like, who else do you work with, and not be, in the mid card or curtain jerker. Like we love Cesaro, but he's not nearly as over as Cena is. I mean, there isn't anybody is over. So it's like when you start your program straight off of Cena, it's like you're only going to go down from there. You might as well just go back to NXT, be the main event guy for a long time until you can come up and be your own main event guy and make guys, on Raw and SmackDown. But that's just me.
Yeah, I think Orton would be a good option after Orton's done with the Sheamus thing, because I think Owens versus Orton would be good.
Yeah, but at the same time too, though, dude, I really feel like they're moving more towards this idea that NXT is going. I mean, I know they've already said this that it's its own brand, but I really think that they're going to like NXT is their Ring of Honor or TNA or whatever.
Yeah.
Like they're gonna have they have a specific show that is branded for IWC marks. You know what I mean? And like I think that they're gonna push that to be huge. They're coming to Nashville on October 2nd, by the way, and I'm definitely going. Tickets go on sale on Friday, and I'm getting some. But especially with them going on tour, if they can get a TV deal, man, I really feel like it's just, I know I said this when we first started doing Mouth on the Marks, but like my whole thing was they should have kept WCW. If Coke buys Pepsi, they don't just stop making Pepsi; they just make money off of both of them. They could have had WCW be this indie version, and now that's what they're doing with NXT. They just need to leave it alone. Like I almost feel like put Owens back in there, hell, put Cesaro back in there. And let them have their own show. I mean, because they can sell out arenas by themselves. So why do they need to be on the main roster? Why do they need to when NXT can sell out arenas by themselves? I mean, you know what I mean? It's not like you're making less of a payday, really, other than not being on network TV. So if they get a TV deal, no one's ever going to want to leave NXT. And that's perfectly fine by me because I would much rather watch NXT than the main roster any day.
If they do that, I'll never have to watch Raw again. I just won't. Like I'll watch NXT all day, every day.
Yeah, and then you can have your big loudmouth Dolph Ziggler's. I mean, and he's a great worker, 11, but I don't think he would actually do well in it because to me, Ziggler's a Shawn Michaels. He's a really good worker in the big arena. A lot of talking, a little bit of wrestling, a lot of selling, over the top selling. You know what I mean? Like you put him in a small venue and he sells over the top like that, and he kind of looks a little
goofy.
Silly. Yeah. So
Goofy.
it's like, he needs to be in arenas every time, whereas NXT needs to just really milk that whole. To me, NXT is the number 2 promotion in the country right now. It's not Ring of Honor. It's not TNA. It's not, Global Force. It's not Lucha or Chikara or whatever. It's NXT. And I honestly think that they could just be number 1 for marks, and you can have your average run-of-the-mill, we love John Cena, bright colors, and we watch Raw every Monday, and we never think about wrestling outside of those few hours on Monday. You can just leave that on its own and let that be the main roster. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. So, but we'll see, man. I don't know. We'll see what they decide to do. Anything else you want to add before we go bunny trailing anywhere else?
No. I mean, I'm excited for NXT tomorrow for sure. We really got to start covering NXT sometime.
Yeah. Yeah, the problem is that like I read all the spoilers, so like I can cover a month worth of.
I feel like I'm just as big, if not a bigger mark than you are, and I stay away from results all the time. I don't even look at SmackDown spoilers. I do sometimes.
I look at SmackDown spoilers like every week.
Start watching, man. It's worth it. I'm telling you because when you read the words, it's like
I still watch. I just read the spoilers too. Just because I know what's gonna happen doesn't mean I don't want to watch the magic. Come on, man. Like just because I know the elephant's gonna disappear doesn't mean I don't want to watch David Copperfield. Like, like.
Yeah, see, for me though, it ruins everything. It's like knowing the football game. Like when people record football games, they know who won. But that stupid ass thing that they have now, it's like, yeah, you can watch any NFL game from any NFL team the day after the game, and it's like, who gives a shit, man? Like, and who's in the gym running around like cheering to a game that was on yesterday? Nobody. That's the dumbest commercial ever.
Right. So, well, all right, man. I think that's gonna do it for us tonight. And I say tonight because I'm used to doing this on Monday nights. It's still daylight.
It's 7 o'clock though. Come on, it's technically nighttime. I would say
evening. This evening.
Okay, yeah, evening. Yeah, all right.
That's gonna do it for another week of Raw. We'll be back for next week's Raw. Then we'll be back for another Raw, and then Night of Champions, and maybe we'll squeeze in some NXT stuff between now and then.
I would love that.
Yeah, man. We gotta do more than just takeovers.
I know,
So
dude. That's what I'm saying, man. We can do like a show on, I don't know, like Fridays or something that we cover like SmackDown and NXT.
there we go. We'll think about it. Don't
Yeah.
get your hopes
We'll
up.
get back to you. We'll get back to you.
Have a good week, guys. Join us next week. We'll see y'all then.
Peace.